We'll probably delete that one.
Alright guys, we're gonna start going live in just a second.
Or keep it there, just forever. Wait, what? What's going on?
Anthony says don't listen to Deke, keep it live.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait. Start going live in just a second. I need to put my earphones on. Cause that's stupid.
Yeah, because I don't want to.
Shut up, Deke.
Shut up!
Shut
Stop
up!
looking at me, Swan!
Shut up, Deke.
Alright, it's 4 p.m. Let's go live.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it.
We're live.
Are we live?
Yeah, say hello.
Oh. Hello. Hi! How are we doing today? I was just wondering. We're going to have to work out like a 3, 2, 1 go or something because we're just chatting here. Hi, I'm Deke Stella, and with me is Justin Gibbs from Soapbox Miniatures. Justin's our lead designer, and we're going to be having a little discussion interview with him, as well as a Q&A today. But first we're going to start with a little news/Kickstarter roundup. So first off, Row Raiders. Row Raiders, we recently did an update on our never-ending card sleeve saga. The long and the short of it is, due to continued manufacturing headaches and hurdles and whatnot, we are going to be replacing the card sleeves with a card pack of 10 loot cards. It will feature 5 unique designs. These loot cards will be exclusive just to you backers. We will not make them available for anything else. And they, should, expand your gameplay and give you a nice little exclusive bonus. We'd like to apologize for, the saga of those card sleeves, and that ultimately we weren't able to, get those to work out quite right, but we think you'll find the loot cards pretty fun. I had fun. I didn't know that. So, alright, on Way of the Fighter. So right now, Way of the Fighter, the pledges are going to begin shipping soon. They showed up at our warehouse. We had to finish up some Row Raiders stuff, some Row Raiders pledge fulfillment to get those before we can move on to the Way of the Fighter, but those are going to be shipping soon. We began the revision process on the miniatures, and we have actually completed the revisions for all of the standard miniatures, just the ones based off of the Way of the Fighter art, as well as the chibi miniatures, the Super Dungeon cosplay ones. And so what those revisions are, it says they're all going to be unicast. There were some sculpt modifications that needed to be made to those in order for them to fit into the unicast process, and so we've made all of those, and so we literally just finished those this week, and then we're going to be heading to making the molds for those, and naturally we'll keep you updated on the process for that. For Relic Knights, we just finished the Leopold Magnus sculpt. We put him on in an update about an hour ago, actually. He looks super cool, so go check him out. And then we are continuing playtesting on unit cards for internal balancing, making sure all of the units work appropriately. And we're actually going to talk about that a little bit later on. So, Super Dungeon. We had already shared a batch of e-proofs with everybody that we had received for the Wave 1 stuff. We got a second batch of e-proofs that we're going through, so we now have all of the Wave 1 e-proofs for Super Dungeon. The ones that we haven't shared with you, we will share with you in the next update, along with some additional Consoles Grimoire adventures. And once again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. So that is pretty much our sort of news roundup. Anything else you can think of?
No.
You mentioned? Okay, sweet. So Justin has been awesome in the comment section, as all of you backers know. So yeah. So today, like I said, we have Justin Gibbs. Justin is our lead rules designer. And you've been working with us for, what, about a year?
Just over a year.
Yeah. So just over a year now. We brought Justin in when we realized that, you know, we needed someone dedicated to it all the time. So to designing the rules and whatnot. Because with my other duties, Super Dungeon, Relic Knights, and whatnot, were starting to slip a little bit. So we put out the call, and Justin answered, and he has been awesome for us. So Justin, like, how did you get into like gaming and gaming design?
Gaming, I think it all started to go wrong with Pogs. That was the initial no.
I still have an OJ and the Slammer.
Oh, really?
Slammer.
That's awesome.
Pogs.
I got rid of all my Pogs. I sold them at the height of the market, you know, before the crash.
Smart. Smart.
Sort of like Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Except cardboard. So yeah, and Magic the Gathering, I started playing in the 5th grade.
Alright.
And from there, Netrunner. And then eventually I got into, started playing Space Hulk.
Okay.
Way back then. And then from there, 40K and Battlefleet Gothic and everything.
Nice.
Games Workshop.
Nice. What
What
sort of Magic player are you? Like, what, are you a blue denier deck or counter deck sort of person? Or like a green critter deck?
I haven't played Magic seriously since like middle school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well no, I got back into it when Ravnica came out.
Oh, okay. Alright.
In Ravnica I played Golgari a lot because the green black, or is that
Right.
what they're called?
I forget. I was actually out of Magic.
Oh, okay.
My OCD like forced me to not play collectible card games.
Gotcha.
So.
No, I played the green black a lot.
Okay.
The like graveyard recursion.
Oh,
stuff.
sure.
That was super cool. So yeah, as an adult, that's how I played Magic. As a kid, I just like put all my cards into a giant pile and all my deck
nice.
Work.
Nice.
That's what.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, okay, so how I got into game design was through forums.
Okay.
Yeah, I started commenting. I started with weird miniatures. I got invited to a playtest. They liked my feedback. I got invited to design, and then I got hired. So the moral of the story is, if you want something, just complain on the internet and.
That is not the moral of this story, Daniel.
Yeah. So more comments.
The moral of the story is to be constructive in your feedback. Not to complain.
I've never been good at
Damn it, man.
Moral of the story, yeah.
Or just complain on the internet, and eventually we'll just buckle.
Yeah.
So
that's what I got out of it.
Yeah. So how long did you work for Word?
A little over 4 years.
Yeah?
So I've been in the industry 5 years now.
Alright.
Time flies.
Awesome. Yeah. And now you're here doing Relic Knights for us. So you moved from one card-based game to another card-based game.
I think in terms of card-based miniatures games, I don't think there's that many out there.
I think
I've worked on
the only two,
actually.
So I can't actually think of another one. So wow, yeah. So
there you go.
do you actually? But you play 40K and stuff too.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I like 40K.
So it's not just cards.
Yeah, no, it's just what I happen to work on.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. So on that, like Relic Knights, like we just did, like a huge card rebalance on those. You want to talk about a little bit of the motivations behind that and what we're going for?
So there were a number of things. The biggest thing we did was change the costs on a lot of the actions and stuff.
Right.
And we wanted to standardize those because we noticed that players had a lot of cards in their hand that they just weren't using. They're sort of dead. If they let's say you're playing no, you want to have red for your actions, and the rest of your colors will sort of, may as well be void.
Right.
So we changed it up so that every unit uses every color, at least on average. And that way the cards in your hand become less, I am looking for this one color and I want to dig for it, and more, here are my resources, how shall I spend them?
Right.
So if you're playing no, red is your action color to do attacks. So you want to save your red for your attacks and which unit you spend it on. Green would be your action presses, I believe, so then it's which unit you want to spend that on.
It is.
And then, let's see here, your armor would then be...
Our armor
chaos?
No, it's corruption.
Your corruption would be the not armor. Your defense would be purple.
Yep.
And then your support actions would be the chaos.
Right.
And so then it's, if you have a bunch of chaos in your hand, it's which units do I want to use support actions with?
Sure.
As opposed to these are dead cards, I want to ditch them.
Right.
So it was all about that resource management. We also added some new keywords in, so that we could have more, just more actions that did more stuff with a smaller amount of text on the card.
Right.
Basically. So there's, burning tokens you can add to things, and that also allows us to write units that key off of those, so like when a unit has a burning token, you can do stuff to it.
Right.
And so just having that tool opens up a lot of potential synergies between units. And those are the major changes.
Right. So, so how have they been working out so far? Like,
pretty well.
In the games you've been playing. So.
Pretty well, I think. I think players are using all their cards. I think that the synergies have been cool.
Right.
I've been playing Doctrine, so it's been fun setting up things with Anthony, like, and via meta, putting a bunch of burning tokens on things, and then you know, blowing them up.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's worked really well.
Oh yeah.
How's your no going?
So they've been going pretty well. So I've actually found it, like you said, now everything is useful in some manner. And it used to be really easy for me to just be like, okay, this is a dead card, I'm going to discard it. And I find that now I have to spend a lot more time going, okay, every one of these has some sort of potential. None of them are dead cards. And so, do I want to keep stuff that's good for my attack or stuff that's good for my defense? And at first it was like super difficult for me because I almost like just ended up having like decision paralysis because I couldn't, I was just like, oh my god, I can use everything. But now as I've like played more, and just getting more familiar with the units and stuff, I can be like, okay, actually this happened yesterday. Like I had Mamaroto like just in the heart of Scott's army, and I had previously I was using Zaneta and Spite, and Spite had let me draw a whole bunch of cards in Mamaro, and had let me draw a whole bunch of cards, so I knew I was going to have to discard something. But I was also activating Mamaroto, and so I actually had like a perfect hand. I had stuff for his defense, I had stuff for his offense, and plus stuff for like his presses and whatnot. And I ended up like splitting the difference, and I was like, okay, I want him to be able to attack, but I also want him to be able to defend, because I know like a storm of fury is going to come down on him, because he was like facing off with Tahario at the moment. And so he basically elected, okay, I'm going to be able to attack, but I'm going to get rid of my green that I had in my hand, so I'm not going to be pressing it. So the attack wasn't as brutal, but it did make it so that I was keeping the stuff for my defense, and he ended up hanging around a lot longer. Like it took both of Scott's activations to actually knock him down, and so yeah. So like I've actually found that really fun. That like it is very much like everything has use. Like how do you want to use it?
And some of that choice too comes about just by the way the cards are laid out.
Right.
Because you'll have your main action color, let's say red again. That's always tied to either purple or orange.
Right.
So by definition, whenever you're spending red, you're also getting rid of potentially like either the purple or orange. So you are still having to choose between attack and defense to an extent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. So that was like the card rebalancing, and right now we're primarily working on just the core rulebook stuff, and then working on the void stuff. But then we also changed up like cadre abilities. So like cadre abilities went from they were only active when the knight was there, but then now they're always active, right?
Yeah.
So now when the knight dies, he comes back. And then yeah. So why did we bring them back to just always being on?
So the knight could kind of really define the army,
Right.
even when it died.
Right.
And that was cool. Another big change that we made was before each faction had a unique ability to gain a token, and then the cadre abilities keyed off of that.
Right.
And we simplified all of those 6 different token abilities into just power tokens.
Right.
And that way, that allows us, one, it's simple and easy to remember. You
Sure.
gotta remember 6 different things.
Right.
It makes it a lot better for Radiant and Void, which before had like 6 different potential ways to get tokens.
Right.
And finally, it also, just making those all power tokens allowed us to have things that affected those tokens.
Oh, sure.
That would work on anything.
Right.
That being said, we're making some further changes there that we'll talk about later.
Okay.
Nice questions.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
Yeah. So like as you've been like developing these, like have there been any sort of like standout like surprise units or interactions that like you've enjoyed seeing like from these new rules that you couldn't do before that maybe you can do now?
I like playing around with the power tokens and things that move them around. I also like things that move around the command tokens a little bit, because we changed up the activation tokens too.
Right.
So having just the single type of command token allows us to have more things that like move around, change up which units are activating. I really like the keyword tokens we added. You know, the burning, essence drain, all those sort of things, because that just allows us to build in synergy.
Right.
For example, a lot of void things key off of essence drain.
Sure.
And they also get better if your opponent has less cards in hand. So there's some
Right.
synergy right there.
Right.
And then you have
Or like how Shattered Sword, a lot of stuff keys off bind.
keys off of bind.
Sure.
And so like you put bind on things, and then your attacks against guys who bind get better, and you can see units that work together. So I think it's been my favorite type of interaction.
All right. Yeah. Cool. So we're also kind of seeing Radiant and Void like really sort of become their own like mini factions and stuff, and they're like in the starter box. So like you want to tell us just like a little bit about like what like Bang Bang and Tahariel do in the starter box that people are going to be able to see, like, just sort of like play style wise.
Yeah, they're both really simple because they're starter box models.
Right.
They're mostly just damage in, damage out, but they have Tahariel's a little harder to catch and a little more fragile. Bang Bang has the better ranged attacks.
Right.
So you have sort of a game of cat and mouse going on.
Okay.
They also both affect how wild cards work. So Tahariel allows you to use your void cards as wild, which is really cool.
That is very cool.
And then Bang Bang makes your wild cards just worth 1 more esper.
So they count as 2.
They count as 2.
Okay.
Yeah, they count as basically all primaries instead of all secondaries. So they're sort of like, you can see they're like 2 sides of the same coin. So right. And it's all thematic and easy for new players to use.
Right. Cool. So Doctrine's your favorite faction then?
It's one that I'm playing in the playtest.
Yeah.
I kind of like Cersei.
Right.
I played Dark Eldar and 40k. I like the speed.
Sure.
Yeah. Also, I mean, No has awesome models.
Right. No are the best. Just in case any of you are wondering.
I also really like the Corsair's theme, Space Pirates.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong. Really anything evil, I guess. Except
right.
for Cersei.
Wait, Cersei's not evil. Doctrine's not evil either.
Well, Doctrine is. I like Doctrine, but.
But they're just your playtest.
It's just my playtest.
I gotcha.
Yeah. I'd probably play either Corsairs or Cersei. All right. Sort of coin toss.
Cool. Awesome. So we have a whole bunch of like Relic Knights Q&A that like we got preset. Do you want to do those now?
Yeah, we may as well talk about it.
Let's do it. So, all right. So we actually before we announced it, we've been asking people to submit questions to Facebook and stuff like that, and we had our Relic Knights UK people community people community.
You know,
the
community of people.
The community of people.
Our community of gnolls
that
and
exist,
our community of zombies.
That exist within the Facebooks, within the Intertrons. Put together a Relic Knights. Little Q&A for us. So let's hit a couple of the specific rules ones that they had. I'm gonna say that one for us because I'm curious what you think. Okay. Okay. Will the starter Radiant and Void cadres be available to buy separately at a reasonable price, or would it be better to just grab a second player starter? Specifically, they were thinking about demoing and worried about some public pause on their painted models. So, the Radiant and Void cadres are going to be exclusive to that starter box. However, if you are Ninja Core, we are going to be making the two-player starter available to you at a discount and/or through points for your demo sets and stuff. So it's very easy for you to get affordable solution for your demo kits versus your own personal collection. But yeah, so for right now at least, all the models in the two-player starter are going to be exclusive. So you have to have a reason to buy that starter. Aside from the fact that it's awesome, it has tokens and other neat things. Let's see. Will backers at a level with the two-player starter set get a retail package two-player starter set, or will it all just be in boxes and baggies? The two-player starter set would be in retail packaging. The other stuff will not be. So part of this is actually, and this was a lot of Relic Knights is going to be going direct. But yeah, so for two-player starter, retail, the other units and whatnot will be in boxes. They'll be bundled up in boxes. So, dare we ask about the companion app? You may ask, absolutely. I was gonna say you did dare actually already. The companion app. Right now, we would love to see the app. Get a nice fresh coat of paint and whatnot. But obviously, before we can build that, we need to, get the game finished and out. And so, fingers crossed, yes, we're going to do that and get that sucker updated and awesome. But right now, we want to just get you the game. So, alright. 4x4 RK-themed mats to complement the 3x3 ones. So this is actually... We had a limited run, in the first Relic Knights Kickstarter, for a 3x3 playmat, in the style of those mousepad mats that have become insanely popular for gaming. We did that, and then we had a overstock that we sold. But we're not going to be doing a 4x4 one. Because in the new rules, all game sizes, at least all the official game sizes, are all played on a 3x3 now. So that's correct, right? Yes. Okay. So obviously, if you want to play an even bigger game, then feel free to use whatever table size you want. So short answer: no plans for a 4x4 mat. So that said, there are a lot of third-party 3x3s that are awesome if you want to expand your collection.
Or 4x4s.
Or 4x4s if you just prefer 4x4s.
Probably more common.
Yeah, I would just say that if you do play on a 4x4 because you already have a 4x4 table or something, make sure you have enough terrain because, with no ranges on guns, even though everything moves really fast, you need some terrain to block line of sight for those melee people to get up there. So, okay. Two-player starter set cadres power level compared to regular cadres. Damage output seems off-kilter to that of regular cadres. I don't think the lack of a proper cadre ability offsets the raw DPS of units. So all game
Yeah.
That's all game time. I give that towel to you.
All right. I sort of disagree.
Disagree away.
The starter set models are a lot simpler, obviously, so that they can be included in the starter set and introduce new players to the game.
Right.
But simpler units have fewer rules, and that makes them inherently a little bit weaker.
Right.
So to compensate for that, they have slightly better stats. Obviously, this person's making the case that they're too good. That's not what I've seen so far.
So far.
In fact, I've gotten some feedback from people who say that their increase in stats. Okay, sorry.
We need to tell them about Scott.
What about Scott?
Well, Scott plays our Void starter set quite often,
and he's like 0-15.
He's currently 0-15, the poor dude.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah. So there's that. But outside of that, I've seen feedback from other people who say the exact opposite, who say that their increase in stats does not offset their fewer abilities, which I also disagree with. I think they're about right.
Sure.
But,
so,
I mean, we'll see, though. Continuing to test, obviously.
Right. So since we're continuing to test, so it sounds like, the basic philosophy is like, everything for their points value is based on, a suit of both their abilities and their DPS. Right. And since they're the starter set, we hopped up their DPS a little bit because they don't have as many of the weird complex abilities. And so, exactly. So, fair enough. So, I'm going to play the Void starter and see if, just Scott is broken, or... yeah. We love you, Scott. Okay. Following a recent 50-point game with 4 command tokens, I am concerned that we are going back to version 1.x era, where the MVP units and heroes get all of the activations, and not quite as popular units are left to do nothing until they are needed due to losses or having to react to enemy threat. Is anything planned to counter this?
Yes.
Bam! That's it.
So, yeah, that's it. I'm going to go back to
the print. Now. That's done.
So I just want to summarize the problem for people who maybe are watching don't play Relic Knights as much, or haven't been keeping up with the rules. Currently, you get 4 command tokens. And on your turn, you activate 2 units. So you put 1 command token on the unit, you do stuff with it, you put the next command token on the unit, you do stuff with it. Your opponent's turn comes back to your turn, you put out 2 more command tokens, you do stuff, you clean them up, and then you can go again. Right. So this allows you to, let's say you had 6 units.
Sure.
You could go the whole game activating only 4 of those units, and 2 of them could sit in a corner. Right. There's nothing in Relic Knights that forces you to activate your entire force. Right. Like there is in other games. Like in 40k, you have to activate all your mobs. Sure. Malifaux, you do as well. And this is definitely something that I've noticed. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with the quality of units. Oh, right. It could have to do with deployment. It could have to do with which objective you're fighting over right now. Okay. I played a game where I forgot to put my Relic Knight, not my Relic Knight, my Questing Knight on the board. And then halfway through the game, I put him on the board, and I never ended up activating him, and I realized, it didn't matter. I could have just left him off the table, and it didn't matter. That's not a good...
Right. So, obviously, we've had this problem.
Yes. So, solutions. Two major things to solve that problem. Number 1, we're going to change it so that once you score an objective, you can not score it again. But we're going to up the points that objectives are worth. This forces you to fight at different points in the board. So if you're not activating a unit because it's not where the action is happening, the action is going to start happening somewhere else. Okay. Hopefully you're going to need to activate more units. Number 2 is we're going to change up how power tokens work, which we were discussing earlier. This is the change I hinted at. We'll talk about it later. Right. So right now, before you place command tokens, you can discard cards and put power tokens on your units. And then those power tokens are then used for cadre abilities. All right. So effectively, you're just discarding cards to power your cadre abilities. Right. So I'm going to cut out the middleman and just say when you use a cadre ability, you can discard a card to make it work. Okay. And power tokens are going to change to something slightly different. So after you have all of your command tokens out, before you clean them up, you put a power token on each unit that did not have a command token. Okay. And those can build up throughout the game. And the unit gets 1 additional Esper draw for each power token on it. Okay. This encourages you to activate those units that had not previously been activated.
Right.
And in my opinion, also gives sort of a cool anime feel. Like that dude's hanging out in the back, like glowing.
Super power
right?
up. Yeah.
Which sort of fits with Relic Knights.
Right. A little bit.
Yeah. A little bit. Yeah. There's some anime theme there. I don't know. And so and hopefully that will get people activating all of their units, or at least planning to. Right. It's possible you have a dude with 3 power tokens you saved up all game and you're planning to activate them.
Right.
And you did that on purpose, and your opponent kills them first. But then what happened there was you got a plan for a unit, your opponent stopped you.
Right.
It's not. I didn't need to use that. Right. So those are the changes.
Yeah. So we've actually been playtesting these changes already, and I actually played a game with them just yesterday, and I'm enjoying them so far. Obviously we're going to play some more games, and naturally, as you guys play games, provide us feedback. But yeah, I've been really struck by the change to the objective tokens, only being able to score them once, because just like you said, it did force me to use more of the battlefield and more units, because you want to win fast. I mean, you don't necessarily want to sit around and have things like traipse all over the board, and so having to move around to try to get the different tokens instead of just concentrating everything there was really nice. I also found, and I was telling you this yesterday, the cadre abilities just becoming, discard a card for it to activate, has been really nice too. It actually, one of the concerns I had run into was sometimes how the cadre ability was best used made it difficult, and the timing for how the power tokens was removed sometimes made it difficult to get the power token on and use it super effectively. As you say, cutting out the middleman, and it essentially removes those timing issues that happen on a few people that have been nice. And so, and I watched Scott deliberately power up Cupid, with power tokens. He hadn't been using them, but he had felt pretty Esper strapped, and then he literally just had this turn where he had a hand of 10 cards all of a sudden, and it was pretty cool. So yeah, so.
And if you're wondering why we're telling you about these changes now, we obviously like to playtest things before we show you. Right?
Exactly.
We don't just write it and throw it out there.
Right.
So we've been playtesting it. We're going to keep playtesting it.
Yep.
See if we need to tweak anything that we're talking about, and you'll probably see it next week.
Yep.
And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay. So those were our pre questions that were Relic Knight specific.
You said you were going to save them. You skipped one.
Oh, I did say that. Oh, right. Okay, so what's been the biggest bone of contention amongst staff going along the RK2 roadmap? Is there the
biggest bone of contention?
What have we gotten the most? What have we pushed back on the most? Internally. Internally is what it sounds like.
Probably. Maybe getting rid of the specific faction tokens,
maybe,
and going to the generic tokens.
Okay.
The generic power tokens, which will now just be discounted.
Yeah. I know that we were really concerned on moving to the command tokens as opposed to the ready queue until we played it and realized that it essentially operated exactly the same way.
Yeah.
Pretty close, I mean, it gave you more flexibility. You weren't as locked in, but essentially you still were no, I have X amount of dudes that flow through, and then they have to refresh before they get to go again.
I mean, I guess getting ready.
Yeah, that took some discussion. Yeah. So, So, this one had a sub one. Oh, I didn't see the sub one. Oh, but it's easy. Are all the factions covered in the staff forces? Who plays what?
Yes.
Yes, all the factions are covered.
I've been playing Doctrine. You've been playing No.
I played No.
You also played Black Diamond the other day?
I played Cersei the other day. You played
Cersei the other day. Sarah, who is doing this recording right now, also plays Cersei.
Yep.
Hanold is playing Corsairs. Scott's playing Void.
Yep. Freeman plays Shattered Sword. Dan plays Radiant. Lawrence plays No. Dom plays Shattered Sword. Bob plays Black Diamond. Yeah. So and David's played Black Diamond a couple times too. So yeah. So we've got them all covered. If we accidentally missed one of the employees, we're sorry. So we value your contribution. I don't know why that was funny to me all of a sudden. Anyway, okay. So
I don't think they're watching.
So no, they probably. Last time I did one of these, you guys had like a viewing party. I don't know. I don't know how I felt about that. Okay, so let's move to Super Dungeon, which I haven't organized for a little while. So all right. So, like as we've talked about in previous shows, Super Dungeon development had like stalled quite a bit. It had become like really top heavy. And was sort of suffering some decision paralysis on my part, and you were hired in big ways. Like your first big task when we hired you was like, dude, help us sort this out. So like when you like finally dug in on Explore, like what was your focus?
I think my biggest thing was pacing, because that controls the flow of the game, because things do power up over the course of the dungeon, and that also affects playtime, which I think was the single biggest thing that we wanted to change. Right. Because Forgotten King, there were groups I could play. They took 4 hours to play sometimes, and we wanted to cut it down to 2. Right. So I think pacing was the biggest hurdle. And my tool for that was the Mighty Monster chart. Right. And tying monsters spawning to the chart as the turns progress. So yeah, that was my first major point of action on Super Dungeon.
So I mean, and it came along really well. And then you also so you did the Mighty Monster chart, which in some ways sort of harkened back to first edition in the power tracker, right? Sort of leveled up. But I really liked how you tied to the Mighty Monster chart more to like the dungeon boss with the timeout side, so that the boss has like some effects on the board and stuff. Yeah, and then there were a few little things like the boss sightings. Right. Yeah. So in certain turns there'll be boss sightings where if you're sort of lagging behind in the dungeon, the boss will come and do his timeout. Okay. Right. Which lets the boss sort of theme the game even when it's not on the board, which is cool, and also keeps the party moving, because they're like, well, next turn, the first tile, the boss sighting's going to happen here, we better be off, we better keep moving. Right. And also different treasure chests give more treasure, or better treasure, the further you get into the dungeon. Right. Just to keep all this sort of force people to keep, or incentivize them to go forward. Right. So, and then another big thing you did, at least, for Creep, like previously Super Dungeon, like you had one tile for every hero. Yeah. And so like dungeons got huge, and now you have 3 tiles all the time. Yeah. So I also limited the number of tiles because that's how much dungeon you have to go through. Right. You have more dungeon, it's going to take longer. So I limited that to 3 tiles all the time, unless you're playing 5 or 6 heroes, in which case you need 4. Right. In 5 or 6 hero games, I mean, there's a little disclaimer like this will take longer. Right. This will take all evening. Right. Feel free to enjoy. And there are people who do that. Yeah. I got comments from people who were like, I like to play for 4 hours. Exactly. Right. And use all my models. Right. And it's like, well, okay, here's how you do it. Have fun. But it's sort of an alternate. Sure. Type of thing. So so that basically, like, if you just want that 90-minute play session, you can have it. Exactly. So awesome. And then so that was like Explore, which like previously we had called Classic Mode, but now it's just returned to like its original name of Super Dungeon Explore, and it is and it's console versus the heroes. But then Forgotten King also introduced the arcade mode, and arcade proved very popular among people, and so ultimately we ended up like splitting it out into its own standalone, like ready to play, and like the arcade in Forgotten King was very much the first edition of arcade, and it got a lot of changes in its second edition. So, want to chat about those a little bit?
So, big changes are the Mighty Monster chart.
Right.
Arcade has one as well. And then the challenge and plot deck.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Mighty Monster chart arcade tells you the monster commands for that turn.
Right.
Like, they move and then they fight, whatever.
Right.
The challenge deck is a deck of cards you draw random things from.
Mm-hmm.
And that way, and I think games that you play against the game itself, cooperative games that you play against the game itself, you need an element of predictability, with some randomness thrown in, right. So you can look at the Mighty Monster chart, know vaguely what the monsters are doing next turn, and plan around that. And that's where the strategy comes in. But then a challenge card might come up and kind of screw up the plans.
Right. So so can you actually so sort of what was your thought in the differences between the challenge deck and the plot deck as far as, because you only draw one plot card.
Right.
So what was your thought on the differences and how they would affect the game?
So plots are different because, like you said, you only draw one.
Right.
But plots are generally pretty major.
Uh-huh.
They'll have a very drastic effect on the game.
Okay.
Like, you might get stasis orbs, and all of a sudden all of you guys are getting slow every turn until you stop.
Sure.
Or you're getting, I don't know, the gauntlet, and then you're drawing 2 challenges.
Okay.
So the challenges are like a little thing that happens once.
Okay.
There'll be a trap, maybe somebody takes a wound.
Right.
And then there will be a little change to how monsters interact. So, maybe they attack the hero with the least crap instead of the one with the most crap.
Right. Okay.
Or something like that.
So challenges are generally things that affect sort of just that round.
Exactly.
Okay.
Challenge will affect that round a little bit, or a lot, depending on the challenge. Whereas the plot affects the entire game.
Right.
And there are 10 plots, so that allows you to get some very different experiences, even when you play the game multiple times.
Right.
It adds a lot of replayability.
Yeah. So I get asked this a lot, and I'm guessing you do too. So I think it bears repeating. In the future, boss specific Mighty Monster charts, maybe plots and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Cool.
Probably boss specific Mighty Monster charts for Explore and Arcade.
Sure.
Boss specific boss fight challenge decks.
Because
when you get to the dungeon boss, you swap out the regular challenge deck for a boss fight one.
Oh, right.
So the challenges get harder with the bosses.
Right.
But we could have ones specifically for different bosses.
Sure.
So yes.
Right. All right. So actually, similar, so arcade has the challenges and the plots. We don't have that for Explore because you have the human console that generally can provide enough of a challenge and modify the game however they want. But you did put a couple scenarios in Explore. So it was save the prince, and I forget what the other one was. And find the artifact. Yeah. So
I thought some alternate play modes would be cool. Basically, there's one where you're trying to get the prince out of the dungeon, and one where you have tokens face down, and you're trying to find the one with the artifact and get that out of the dungeon. We play tested them, obviously. I liked them.
Yeah.
But they didn't receive a lot of focus from the community.
Right.
I think they'll receive more once it's printed.
Right. Yeah.
And if people like them, we'll do more.
Do some more.
And if they don't, we won't.
Fair enough. There you go. So if you want them, play them and then let us know so that we build some more. So similarly, one of the big things, one of the bigger changes was we actually pulled pets out, the rules for pets and creeps out of both Explore and Arcade, and they ended up getting put into their own expansion called Pet Parade. How's it work? Why is it cool?
So it's cool because they're cute little pets.
Right.
That's they're super cute models. And
yes.
You want to use them.
Yes. And one is my dog.
And one is Greta. It's funny. I read that. I was like, why does the dog have poison? And then I was like, oh, it's.
And then you met my dog.
It's a smelly rat.
And realized that my dog stinks. Yes.
So mechanically, it doesn't change arcade that much. damage.
Okay.
It just interacts with things that are already in arcade. There are plots that you can
Right.
shuffle into the plot deck that can spawn creeps.
Right.
And there's challenges that you shuffle into challenge
Sure.
deck that can spawn.
Sure.
Explorer, it changes more because it adds the plot deck from arcade to Explorer.
Okay.
How that works is the console draws 3 plots for the game,
Mm-hmm.
chooses one, and that's the plot for that game.
Right.
But he or she plays it on a specific turn.
Okay.
And it replaces that Mighty Monster chart.
Okay.
And that's sort of the.
And are those plots like pet specific? Like.
Well, they have creeps.
Oh, okay. Oh, those have
That's
creeps.
how creeps
okay.
come in.
Okay, right.
So it'll be like you played on turn 4, and maybe you summon fewer monsters when you play
Right.
that, but it creates this challenge that the players have to overcome.
Okay.
And it's going to have something to do with creeps.
Right, right.
And replacing the space of the Mighty Monster chart is just to balance it.
Okay,
So
sure.
it's not just like, yeah, it's more powerful now.
Right, right. That makes sense.
Pets, you start with 1 pet in play.
Okay.
And then you can discard loot to bring in more pets.
Right.
And each hero chooses 1 pet for the game.
Okay.
And they're just a little, they activate right after your hero.
Right.
They generally give you a little bonus.
Mm-hmm.
They're cool.
Alright. Do you have to, so like, say my pet dies,
Mhm.
and my pet dies, do I have to discard loot again
Yes.
to?
Yeah, so you have
Okay.
the summon pet
Right.
action,
Right.
or no, it's an ability. It happens at the
Right.
end of your activation.
Mm.
And you discard a set amount of loot.
Right.
Each pet is different, has a stat telling you
Okay.
how much to discard.
Okay.
And then you bring it into play.
Okay.
Whether it's the first time coming in or after it had been destroyed.
Okay.
Same
Okay.
process.
So you're gonna need to be generating some loot to keep those
Right.
pets into play.
Right, so loot's sort of the
Right.
currency you use
Okay. Okay.
to keep your pets coming in.
Sure.
So that they're balanced as well.
Right.
Right.
So, but it's like you get to choose your own specific pet like
Right.
right at the beginning though. So like there's no more like in Forgotten King where it was all based on the random draw.
Yeah,
That's
so
all
in
gone.
Forgotten
Right.
King, you'd have to wait till you drew the treasure to get the pet.
Right.
But a lot of people said, like, I've got these really cute models, I
want to
really
use
want to
them,
use
right,
them.
yeah.
So now you always have that option. You just need to sacrifice the
Right.
loot.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah. So Pet Parade was like 100% developed by Justin. So so I'm excited about it myself. So all right. So let's do a little chat with Legends. So we're still like in Legends development. We've gone through all of its like delays and whatnot. So I figure we'll just do like a little catch up on it. Right now we're basically finishing up the Console's Grimoire and the decks. Everything else is all written. On the Console Grimoire, I'm finishing up the Dragonhorn campaign, which we've been releasing some of those adventures, and we're going to continue to. Justin's going to be writing the Shadow of the Queen campaign, and then once we're happy with like how those core campaigns are playing and the core system is working, then Legends will then begin in layout. But then all of the digital adventures that were part of the Kickstarter, we actually have a larger team that is going to be working on those. We have a bunch of freelance writers and stuff that we have worked with on stuff before who are very excited to have an opportunity to write Legends adventures. So I'm going to be writing some, and Justin's going to be, and Chris Badan, and some other people are going to be writing them, so that we can start churning out like lots of cool adventures. So for me, like one of the things I've been excited about with Legends. Like our first couple adventures we released were very combat oriented, and people were like, "Why is Legends just combat?" And we're just starting to get into more with like some traps and and stuff like that. And I'm excited.
Yeah, the one last year was really
so,
cool with like the elf goes and pulls the lever and the lava pit opens up and and you gotta like push the box into the pit.
Yeah, you can push boxes into pits and use it to block things you're shooting.
Yeah, no, I thought that was really cool. So, I read that, I was like, yes, this is exactly. I'm looking forward to doing more stuff like with that. So like as Super Dungeon and Legends and stuff continues to develop, like kind of like what are you looking most forward to like with Super Dungeon as far as next steps? In general or with Legends?
Sure, Legends. Let's go Legends.
Well, I think the adventures have so much
Right.
Like, there's so much room there to design and explore and do cool things. And, you know, it's one of those things where you do a whole adventure that's just based around, like, a bar fight. Or, like, you know, like, you do some, or you know, a much more serious one, like the Dragonhorn one that we're writing right now. I just think there's so much room to do so much different cool stuff. And I'm really excited to do that.
Yeah, that's, so that was actually, like on the arcade rules. You know, like, they're pretty simple, you know, like, you know, on first blush, and, you know, and I mentioned this in the last, like, live stream I did. But I was like, I kind of wanted them simple, because I wanted to be able to do sort of whatever the heck we wanted to in the adventures. And I didn't want, like, you know, those to limit us, because, like, you know, we have arcade for something that's very, like, you know, point A to point B, you know, sort of thing. And so, I'm just looking forward to telling stories. So, like, I mean, like, we've been writing Super Dungeon fiction and stuff for a long time, and I'm excited to get to explore it in a different way. So we've got about 10 minutes or so left, so we're going to move into a couple more Q&As. I've got a few more that we had set to us beforehand, and then we'll see what we've been getting on the live stream. So we can't actually see the live stream, so I have no idea. So, okay, let's see. So, the street date of the 2-player starter sets. Kickstarter backers should be getting them in Q1 of 2018. What about general public, UK in particular? So, we obviously don't have a firm street date right now. Generally, we go for, you know, like, we want to make sure everything's, you know, like for that region where, you know, delivery has started, if not fully completed. So probably a month, maybe, probably just a month after delivery has started in your region, and so it will depend. So if we end up like end of Q1 for the Relic Knights 2-player starter releasing, then it'll probably be beginning of Q2 for the retail version. And once again, that's all region based, because like while we do our best to like, you know, simultaneously release everything, like there's just a lot of variation, you know, in worldwide release, and so each region is specific to itself. Let's see here. The Marie Claude statue. Is that still happening? So for those of you who aren't familiar, we have a super awesome company called Silver Fox Collectibles. Collectibles? Yes. Okay, sorry. Just like stumbled over that all of a sudden. That are making some tall, like I think they're like 10-inch. Did you see the one down in the thing? Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, they're awesome. So,
I'm learning about this too.
Okay, Justin's learning about this too. So they're making some cool, like I think they're like 10-inch vinyl statues of different characters from like the Soda Pop universe. The first one they're doing that we were previewing out a little bit is a super awesome Marie Claude statue, all in her Relic Knights Questing Knight gear, so looking super awesome for Cersei. So that is absolutely still happening. Right now, all of the primary sculpting has been done for that, and it's all been approved, and they're doing the molds and stuff for it. And so then we'll be doing pre-orders on those. And we'll be doing some pre-orders through our website and then also through Silver Fox Collectibles. One thing to note on those statues is they are going to be limited edition. They're going to be very small quantities. Unless they're gone, they're gone. And so if you want to ensure that you get one, you'll want to get in on the pre-order. They're going to be vinyl, pre-painted, you know, and these are like super high-end like paints, and yeah, so don't miss out because we're going to basically make it to the pre-orders plus a small batch beyond, and so and then that's it until we move on to the next one. And so yeah, if you haven't seen the sort of stuff they do, check out Silver Fox Collectibles website. They're doing some awesome stuff for like Games Workshop and some other companies. They made some really, really cool statues, and we're super excited to have them making some stuff for us as well. Let's see here. Alright, I think, because we went through...
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, we went through the other ones here. So, do we have anything from live stream there?
Sure, I can give you a couple of questions.
Awesome.
Let me find that question I found just here. With the change in command tokens, does it not feel like you've gone back to step 1 of version 1.0, where the less number of units is better?
So I guess the question is, it's essentially the same question we answered earlier of, what if I just take 4 units and activate the 4 units over and over again? And so yeah, that's an issue that we saw, and so we're addressing it basically like we saw earlier.
Yeah, so I can actually first edition, since you weren't here for first edition, the problem was once you had 1 unit, then that 1 unit would just cycle into your ready queue over and over and over. So like you'd take Princess Malia because she was ridiculous, or Sebastian because he couldn't die, and just cycle constantly. And so you just did that. So the thing with the command tokens, however, is say you only take 4 units, or say you only took 2 units. When you put another command, so once those 2 units have a command token on them, the next time you put a command token on them, they're very limited in what they can do. They get their Esper draw, but then they only can take either their initial move or use 1 action, and they don't have a say in what that action is. Like, they can only use the action called the Surge action. And so, like, the range of things you can do is super limited.
So, and the person who asked this question, I assume that you played Relic Knights 1.5, where they had the placeholder cards.
With the placeholder card.
Right? And so the way placeholder cards worked was your queue had a certain number of slots. And if you ever had fewer units than that number of slots, you had to add a placeholder card.
Right.
And when that came up, you didn't get to activate.
Right.
Right? So now instead of 4 slots in the queue, you have 4 command tokens.
Right.
And so in the old version, if you ended up with fewer than 4 units, you were activating a placeholder card that did nothing.
Right.
Now, if you have fewer than 4 units, you're putting a command token on a unit that already has 1.
Right.
And doing very little.
Yeah.
So it is much more. It's almost the same as the 1.5 queue with the placeholders.
Right.
With some modifications.
Yeah, and those modifications actually came from, as we were playing, we found that placeholder card, like, it just kind of sucked that you had to turn those a dead turn.
Right.
Like, just a total dead turn. Like, regardless of because, like, yes, you might have been one of those people who was just trying to have your MVP unit do all this stuff, but you might have also just been getting beat up really bad and are on your last legs, and then suddenly you have all these dead turns. And so now with the surge actions and by putting the second command token on, it's sort of that halfway ground in that if you have an MVP unit, they're very limited. They're not going to be able to do all of the super awesome stuff they can do.
If you're trying to activate
if you're just trying to constantly chain activate them. But you do get to do, like, if you're getting beat up, you do get to do something, and it can be something useful, like an initial move to go engage somebody to keep them from an objective, stuff like that. Also, with what Justin was talking about, with the change to you can only score an objective token once. That makes it so that like having 1 unit or even 2 units that's trying to do everything can be very hard. Just because, like, even if they're super fast, getting around all over the place can be super difficult. if someone else has, you know, more units. So,
Right.
you know, to be able to engage them and stuff. Because, you know, it doesn't matter how tough you are, like, if a Wimp unit is engaging you, you're not scoring that objective. And all the time you spend, like, trying to kill them, you still only get one victory point out of them. So yeah, feel free to try, doing the MVP unit, and if it's, and if it's crushing people, definitely let us know, and let us know how and why. So, but it's not something that we've run into under the new system. So, okay, so pretty good. Okay, so we would like to thank all of you for joining us for our little Soda Pop show here. Make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss future shows that we're going to do. This one, because of our technical difficulties when it was regularly scheduled, came a little later than normal. So our next one is actually in, not next week, but the week after, December 13th. And so I will have Dan DeSalt, our lead artist for Soda Pop here. And we're going to look at some of his art and talk about his process a little bit. And so we'll see you then. Thank you for joining us.
All right, yeah, thanks.